Welcome to the Deep Dive Books channel, where we hope you find something valuable every day.
We continue our series on Top 10 Survival Strategies in the Age of AI. Today, we discuss meaning and mastery in Part 4. On meaning. How do we cope with the frequent sense of meaninglessness? Our strategy is to find awe, to discover something bigger than yourself. There are many perspectives on the meaning of life, often emphasizing both individual value and some form of contribution. You don't want to be so humble that you lose yourself, but neither do you want to be solely self-centered. The meaning of the self is limited. We live our lives doing just a few things, making some money, helping and caring for a few people, and often living a life of routine and dissatisfaction. Sometimes, it feels like life isn't worth it. That's why we need a greater meaning. No scientific theory can give you an objective meaning, as the entire universe might not have one. Scholars generally agree that each of us must find our own subjective meaning. Everyone has a narrative self, leaving memories through life experiences, gaining insights, and telling ourselves a coherent story that provides the meaning to continue living. Our channel often discusses the views of two scholars who have proposed different solutions to the question of life's meaning. Yuval Noah Harari, from a humanistic perspective, believes that the meaning of life lies in experience. Without gods or higher institutions dictating right from wrong, we should derive lessons, values, and wisdom from our experiences. In Homo Deus, A Brief History of Tomorrow, Harari offers a formula. Knowledge equals experience times sensitivity. We go through various things not to check off tasks, but to experience. We live to pursue the broadest and deepest experiences possible, hoping to gain wisdom from them. David Brooks, a New York Times columnist, examines heroic figures in several books and believes that life's meaning comes from commitment or the call of duty. You do something not because you enjoy it, but because you have a mission, a commitment, that compels you to do it. With a sense of mission and commitment, life gains direction, and you always know what you should be doing. I believe both perspectives are correct, but I think there's a deeper logic behind them, a more fundamental drive. Awe. This is not the awe that comes from fearing the law, but rather, awe, as a very special, yet entirely natural, emotion. According to Professor Dr. Keltner at UC Berkeley, awe is the feeling of being in the presence of something vast that transcends your current understanding of the world. When you stand before a towering mountain, gaze at an endless ocean, or marvel at the cosmos, you feel awe. When you witness a sports star achieving an extraordinary feat, admire an astonishing piece of art, or see a massive crowd united in action, you experience awe. When you face the death of a loved one, grasp a profound mathematical theory, or first glimpse the workings of the world, awe arises. A person who has never felt awe tends to think their daily life is everything. They get caught up in trivial matters, blowing them out of proportion, acting as if the world should revolve around them, like a child. But with awe, you realize the insignificance of your daily concerns and understand that there are things far more important in the world. Awe-inspiring things are always big, transcending our daily lives, which is why they are worth exploring. These things are also beyond our full understanding, possessing a sense of mystery, which is why they invite exploration. Awe makes us feel small, fostering humility. In the vastness of the universe, the individual seems insignificant. But humility does not mean insignificance. Neil deGrasse Tyson, in his book, Astrophysics for People in a Hurry, beautifully describes this as the cosmic perspective. The cosmic perspective acknowledges that, in the grand scheme of the universe, humans are not special. We share more similarities with gorillas and even hypothetical aliens than differences, giving us no reason for arrogance. Yet, we are fortunate, because the conditions for life are so stringent that our existence is a miracle. Moreover, we are part of the universe. The heavy elements in our bodies, like carbon, oxygen, and nitrogen, are products of ancient supernovae. We are connected to everything in the cosmos. Small, but not insignificant. Fortunate, but not special. Humble, yet part of a greater whole. This is the experience that the cosmic perspective and awe provide. There was once a book called The Varieties of Religious Experience, discussing how practitioners of various religions often have a similar, ecstatic experience, where the boundaries between themselves and the outside world dissolve, connecting them with everything. This feeling is the sublimation of awe. When faced with magnificent sights and universal truths, we feel our smallness, yet also our undeniable connection to it all. Find something that inspires awe in you, and your life will transcend the ordinary. You will become freer. All the wise advice on the meaning of life boils down to finding something greater than yourself and becoming part of it. That way, even if you die, you know that what you contributed to still exists, and your small efforts will have made your life meaningful. On learning. Our strategy is to follow those whose knowledge reaches the cutting edge, whose minds are open to the world, and whose vision spans across disciplines. In principle, we can learn from anyone, as the saying goes, when 3 people walk together, there must be one I can learn from. Even if someone's understanding is flawed or they make mistakes, observing them can still teach us something. Whether it's listening to a report, reading a paper, or even an online article, as long as it contains genuine insight, it doesn't matter who the author is. But if you want to follow someone, to enhance your understanding, that implies a level of trust, where you're willing to accept what they say first. Such a person must be extraordinary. These people do exist. The gap in intellectual ability between people can be far greater than the gap in physical ability. In terms of physical strength, even the most powerful individual couldn't defeat 10 strong men. But intellectually, a master can be hundreds or thousands of times more advanced than an ordinary person. We should learn from such masters. Our channel often discusses books by heroes and extraordinary figures, and the authors, who are beloved by our readers, those intellectual masters, tend to share 3 common traits. The first trait is that their knowledge reaches the cutting edge. This is the basic requirement for a scholar writing a book, but it's also a high bar to meet. If you frequently attend academic events, you'll strongly feel that the world is a makeshift stage. Some old scientists use the same PowerPoint presentation for many years, repeating it at various conferences without caring about new ideas. I think it's more accurate to call them old practitioners of science. Another case is third world scientists, who focus on problems that the mainstream doesn't care about. These scholars also work hard to publish papers and produce original content, but they lack a sense of problem, often researching trivial details, just to get published. Many academics are engaged in this kind of work. They also write books, often self-published, viewing book publication as a way to gain promotion. These books are not worth reading, and these people are not our teachers. If you have nothing cutting-edge to say, it's better not to say anything. I always emphasize that I am a science writer, not a science popularizer. I oppose using common, already established knowledge to scare the public, saying things like, "What you believe is superstition, this is the real truth." In the English-speaking world, authors, podcasters, and bloggers discuss relatively cutting-edge topics, helping readers progress along with science and technology. The second trait of intellectual masters is a mindset open enough to embrace the world. Scholars should possess broad-mindedness, doing research that benefits everyone. Some authors specifically promote their own theoretical frameworks, unjustly criticizing opposing theories. This is treating readers like an audience for advertising. Especially now, with books on American politics, the battles between liberal and conservative authors are so intense that such books aren't worth discussing on our channel. Another type of author argues that only their group is superior. For instance, I've seen well-known old scholars comparing Eastern and Western cultures and histories, trying every way to prove the superiority of Chinese culture and the shortcomings of Western culture. But if you read closely, you'll find that they don't truly understand either culture. They haven't applied academic standards to their arguments. As a fellow Chinese, I believe that what's true is what's best for China. We read not to boost national pride, but to understand and solve real problems. True scholars write books assuming their audience is the entire world. If you wouldn't dare say something openly to the world, don't say it behind closed doors to your own people. I've noticed a great trend among a new generation of Chinese historians. They study Chinese history with a global perspective, comparing China with other countries and using general theories to explain Chinese phenomena. And this is how it should be. There's no reason to believe that Chinese matters don't conform to the general laws of human society. China offers its insights, but true laws are universal. As ordinary people, we often look at the world from a Chinese perspective. But as readers, at least in the moment of gaining knowledge, we must look at China from a global perspective. The third trait of intellectual masters is a vision broad enough to cross disciplines. To establish yourself in academia, you often just need to publish papers in a specific subfield. But to write a book, you must understand neighboring disciplines. For instance, if you are a physicist and excel in your research, your colleagues might invite you to write a review article on your topic. This review can be highly technical since it's for experts. But if you want physicists from other fields to understand your work, you need a basic knowledge of all physics and connect your field with others. And if you aim to write a book for readers beyond physicists, you must understand knowledge outside physics. You need to know what your readers are thinking before they read your book to write about what they care about. For example, being a programmer is an excellent profession. Programmers' work significantly changes our world. But if a person is only a programmer and knows nothing beyond writing code, you'll have little to talk about unless you are their colleague. A programmer worth conversing with will think like a product manager, have unique insights into current technological developments, and connect personal research with a broad network of knowledge. This implies that intellectual masters are polymaths to some extent, capable of understanding the world's basic logic. To be a good author, you should first be a good reader. If an author can achieve all 3 points, knowledge reaching the frontier, broad-mindedness, and interdisciplinary vision, their books will be valuable. However, to write an engaging book, the author must also know how to write well, ideally with a personal style. Such authors are rare, like rare gems, hard to come by. That's today's content. Next, we will talk about judgment and knowledge.
If you feel there is value in this, please like, subscribe to this channel, and leave your thoughts or suggestions in the comments section. Let's grow together and read more good books.